These areas are identified on the master, as housing target areas in the town's master plan. The map locations are, there's 3 of them that are off of Park Street near West Village Drive subdivision. There's 1 large site on Havel Street, 3 sites in Martins Pond area, 2 sites off of Main Street, and 2 sites north of the town center. And I have those actual addresses here. We've been through them all before. I can read them all off if you want me to go to do that. The abutters were notified by mail, even though it's not required. We did do that prior to our public hearing at the planning board, in order to make sure that they knew this was going on, to make sure they had an opportunity to comment on it. And they did, and again.
It worked.
It
worked.
Yeah.
You got 5 attendance.
Well, that's exactly what we want to do. You know, and that was the intention. The intention was is to get as much input from these people as we could, because besides saving us some legwork and checking some of this, there's we glean a lot of information on the planning board from our public hearings. They're really important to us, and they really help us make good decisions. So the fact that it was well intended was just to the positive as far as we were concerned. So we did notify all those people. They came, and we culled the list down. So as I said, down to the 23 parcels. Just so you get an idea what that means, the number of potential units, the absolute maximum potential for these areas is about 118 units. But it's far likely to be less, because it's likely to be much less dense development as it goes on. And of course, each one of these sites, if they were to be built on, would have to go through the town meeting process. Each lot or each location would have to be released through the town meeting process. So there's a second look at every single one of these prior to them being released for this for affordable housing to be built on.
So if I can just stop you. So
Sure.
the mere fact that they're on this list does not in and of itself mean that it happens. It has to go before town meeting.
Absolutely.
It has to come. Do the selectmen have some control of stopping it from before town meeting, or they're just open to town meeting? If somebody wants to do that.
I would imagine that you could, well, of course, someone always has the power to refuse to allow the article.
The board also has to release it.
Pardon?
He's running the general government.
This is all town.
It's all general
That's right.
government.
That's
So
right.
without a vote of the board, it doesn't go anywhere.
Absolutely. That's what I just said. The board always has the option.
How many of the units are at Martins Pond? Martins Pond people are very concerned about this.
Yeah, well, they came before us to the meeting, and actually talking to Janet Cody, actually spoke to her today on the phone, said that people are satisfied with the way the list has been held down.
Down to 3?
I think that's 3 left, yeah.
3?
I think she might have spoken to you. Should,
Yeah, she did.
Okay, then we're basically down to a reasonable number over there, and it's reasonably well spread out in town now, which is one of the things that you should do when you do a project like this. But again, the initial thing, we had to start someplace. We started with the GIS maps, locating these parcels, and then culling them out by wetlands, size, ability to be combined, and so forth. To come to what we come to.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
The history here, of course, is not good, right? I mean, the history is that anybody who wants to build affordable housing and the town needs it, you know, they bypass the town.
That's right. That's right.
Is this, you know, even in your talk, you made it sound like you're not positive that this will assuage that, stop that from happening.
Well, one of the things that they require is that you have, that the state requires, if you're going to control what happens as far as affordability in your community, and we did this, you have to file a master plan. And we stopped them basically at one point by filing that master plan and identifying the areas where this type of housing would be the most appropriate. Then, of course, we came into the Berry Center thing, so then all bets were off because we basically cleared ourselves with that particular development. Going forward, though, we still have that master plan in place. All of these locations show up on the master plan, so this is contiguous. There's no, so again, we still are afforded the protection that we were guaranteed when we filed that master plan. We're told that if we did this, if we agreed to reduce by a certain number of units, which of course, again, that all went by the wayside because we took them all off the table all at once for the Berry property. However, you know, we still, in 2010, we still afforded that protection. We still have a master plan, and we've taken it to the next step by actually identifying the parcels. This gives us a tremendous amount of control over what happens if one of those 40 Bs comes forward. That's actually the basic concept behind this, is to be prepared.
parcels
Yes.
private.
To your town-owned parcels.
So we have the control anyways, just by not selling them.
Absolutely.
So why do we want to go through this exercise?
Well, because I think what he's saying is that by creating an overlay district, we're basically showing the state and the bureaucracy that in fact we've got a plan in place, and it's a way of forestalling some developer to come in and buy some land somewhere else and decide to put a affordable housing.
But do we have to let them buy from us? Can we
No.
prevent them?
No, yeah.
See, if you're short of a number, I don't understand this.
You can't say to them, if they come to us and say, we want to build in your town, we say, fine, here are the locations that we've selected, and here's our master plan, these are the locations that are selected. And if they say, no, we don't want to build in that area, we want to build over here, we say, no.
Yeah, but if they
No,
say,
that's not-
my question is, if they say, we do want to build in those places, then we have to sell the land.
Well,
No.
we can,
Well, if you don't want to sell the land, then you need to take it off the list. I mean, you can't give them and have nothing to give them. I mean, you have to have, this has to be real.
Yeah, it can't be a
I
phone.
mean,
But we
the
don't-
option we have to say, no, we're not going to sell you the land, isn't David, that's my point.
Yes, it is.
I don't know that it is.
The developer comes in, we don't have to sell him a piece of land, correct?
You don't have to.
Right.
However,
The number.
but see, if you don't,
No, you don't have to
this,
sell.
Joe, I think what he's saying is this. What this says is we've allocated places where we'll allow
that kind of
that
development.
kind of development. And if somebody comes in, we say, look, you gotta do it here, right? And this land is now available to sell because we've committed it to this overlay.
But we may not sell it to you. I want to be sure that that's.
Why would we not sell it?
Well, then it shouldn't be on this
It
list.
should be on the list.
That's what I said.
But not, the only reason you wouldn't sell it to us is they're non-reputable developer.
Yeah, that's a
You know,
different
there's
kind of
issues there.
issue.
Other than that, this whole plan, again, we spent hundreds of hours over a number of years
Yeah.
working on these 40 Bs that have been developed in North Reading. Because we didn't have a plan.
That's
Right. But we were able to develop a process which worked very well for the community,
Copies by many towns in my way.
which is now a model for a number of
Now,
communities. So, but what this is now what this is now is something that we should be doing and should have in place, because what it does forestall and does give the town a say when a developer comes in on another privately owned parcel. We say, we have a plan, we're looking to implement it, this is how we have it done. It can't be just a facade, it can't be a phony plan.
Can't be
You know, we have to be willing to develop these parcels in a measured approach. Again, we're looking to do it in a measured approach in order to maintain our 10% stock. So if we're buying into this program, we should buy into the program. And this is a far cry from what was presented last year.
Yeah.
One of the reasons it was presented last year and had to go back was because they didn't have the public hearing, and all of a sudden,
We didn't
This
get a
works.
chance to cull this list down because it actually took quite a lot of work to cull this list down, quite a lot of work. It actually cost us our planning administrator for a period of time because she found that fairly.
This leads me to a question, Warren.
Go ahead.
And I know you alluded to it, that you sent notices out to all the abutters.
Yes.
I mean, one of the issues we have with a couple other programs that come before this, we pass something and then all the butters find out they're victims of it. You're reasonably sure of that.
That is why
All the
this time,
properties
even though
here.
we were not required to send these
Yeah.
notifications.
But
out,
you
we
did get feedback from everybody.
We had a full house. We moved the room full of people, we filled it.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry I'm so ignorant on this, but I just want to be sure I understand.
That's fine.
Is what we're saying is, Joe the developer comes in to Mr. Messeri and says, Bob, I want to buy your land, I want to put up affordable housing here as a plot of land. The town can now say, no, you can't put it there, but we will sell you land here.
Yep.
And that's legal?
Yeah. We can say, that is not a site.
Well, he buys land from me, right?
Yep.
He can't put a 40B on
Put a
that
40B
land.
on.
Because we have other land.
He
He
has to buy
might develop it for something else.
How about
but give him a 40B.
He has to buy the land from the town.
And we have to sell it.
No.
he's going to have to go to the state
No,
to prove that our
that's my
master
question.
plan stinks.
Do we have to sell him a piece of land? If Joe the developer comes into Bob Messeri and says, you have 10 acres here, Bob, I want to put a 40B. The town turns around and says, no, that's not an approved area, but we have this for sale over here. No. Let me
It makes
rephrase
it happen in our-
it. We have this available over here.
Yeah.
Do we have to sell him that land if he says, I want it?
Why would you not?
Because I don't want the 40B.
Well, Joe.
Oh, no, well, first of all, okay, let me get back to the basic premise
Wait a
of
minute,
this.
how sure are we of this number?
Let me get out right now. Let me get back to the basic premise of this. The basic premise of this is that at one point we're going to need some more affordable housing in order to keep us from being subjected to an unwanted 40B.
Yeah.
So what we're doing, we've developed a list of 11 sites that are acceptable, and we've had public hearings, we've culled it down to 11 sites in this town that are acceptable for 40Bs, would be acceptable for 40Bs. Now, because there are a number of restrictions in here based on the size of the lots as to how many, what you can put in and so forth, but it's a very clear and well laid out plan that is acceptable to the state. Okay? So what that means is that by agreeing to these locations, okay, so basically agreeing to these locations, if a developer comes in, now you have to understand he gets his money from mass housing or from the other one. So that means he's already pre-approved. He's somebody that's probably a reasonably reputable developer. He wouldn't have got his money, wouldn't get his approval. So we have these locations that we offer up to him to build this affordable housing. And if he comes in and says, sure, I'll do this one and this one, okay, we sell him those two. Because we've said, by virtue of this, that we will allow it in these locations.
And none of the abutters objected to this.
Well, they did in the beginning to some of the locations.
No, I mean, none of them objected to your calling down list.
No, actually, once we called the list down, we had no other objections.
So there was no objection?
Nope.
But it still has to go through the public hearing process, Joe.
No, I know.
And the other thing is,
I
depending on
understand.
where we are with the number of units, we can say no, we're at the limit.
Yeah, we have-
So we put 460 units over there, we have to come up with 40 more affordable ones. Because we need 10%, what we just added. But that won't be until 2012. This is 2010, we don't come out until 2012.
2011 and 2012.
2012 is when it's, when we finally get subject to.
Saying that controlling what's happened over the past bunch of years
Yeah.
by providing our choice of
We
location
probably,
versus
in order
theirs.
to fill those, probably only half of these sites would have to be used to bring us right up to date in 2012.
Once you're at that level, you can shut it down.
And then at that level, we stop them again. They don't, yeah, we have these locations, but we don't want any more right now. Thank you very much. Come back in 5 years.
Yeah, we're gonna wait.
Don't move to
Or
the next.
next 7 years, whatever it takes.
You just vote, we vote on this?
What?
In the end.
Oh, I'm sorry, accepting public comment?
Sure.
Well, you're a member of the finance.
I am a member of the public. Thanks for that. My name's Mike Kirby. I live on 4 Parsonage Lane. And I actually find this article objectionable for 2 reasons. And one is, while it's, I think, a well-intended attempt at being proactive, it actually is not necessary now. It's based on the premise that it might be necessary in 2010. So I don't see that there's a time urgency.
That's not true.
Well, didn't we just establish that once J.T. Berry is approved, that we've met our affordable housing obligations, and then
Based on the last census,
Based
we're
on-
already, the building census, we're
but
already.
we're not going to, we don't have an obligation to do this until 2010. We're exempt from 40B applications until after the next census. Is that correct? Okay, that was my intent.
It's important to get it in place before the issue
Well,
actually pops up.
My second point, however, is though that it's also based on the premise that for this purpose of control, we're essentially saying that the town's obligation to meet its affordable housing obligations should be borne by, frankly, people that live adjacent to town-owned property, which I'm not sure what the basis for that premise is. I'm not sure why a 40B that's on town-owned property is any less objectionable in the overall scheme of things than something that would be otherwise on private property. So really what you're saying through this is that the only place we're going to have, the only people that are going to bear the responsibility for meeting a townwide obligation are those that happen to live next to these prescribed plots. And I'm not sure how that, at the end of the day, we have the same amount of 40B obligation. But what you're doing is targeting them to specific areas, which I'm not sure necessarily accomplish what it accomplishes. And it takes assets that would otherwise be available to the town for potential other financial obligations that the town has, and essentially obligates them to this purpose. And I'm not sure why that's necessary or frankly prudent given our financial circumstances.
Well, actually, it's not totally correct. It's not